Previous video, we talked about the do loop and the while loop, and we talked about the bad parts if you don't do some kind of iteration or increment inside your loop because you don't want to end up with an endless loop. But there are some occasions where you do want to have an endless loop, where you want everything to be true until you get to the point where you don't want it to be true. So let's go ahead and play around with that. I'm not going to make a new project for this one. We're going to stick with the week one loop project we've already created. Inside of here, we've got a start and we've got a loop one class inside of it. So I'm going to go ahead and make another class inside this start loop. So I'm going to go ahead and right click my package, do new class, and we're going to call this class loop 2. No main inside this one. Make sure we're in the right package and go ahead and click finish. So let's make a method inside of here, and we're going to go ahead and make it public. We're going to make it void. It's not going to return anything, and we're going to say check input. Open and close parentheses, and soon we'll be talking about what all these things mean on these method signature calls, but for now we're just going to have to trust me that that's the right signature piece that goes along with it. And we're going to do a do loop, which means we are not going to check until we get to the end. So let's go ahead and check here, and we are going to say true. Well, if that's always true, how do we ever get away from being true? Well, this is what's called a purpose endless loop, and we're going to use a command to get out of this loop as some code that happens inside of our loop. So let's do a system out. We're going to print a message to our user here, and we're going to say enter your name, and we're going to put a little note here and say Q to exit. So we're going to purposely tell them that we want you to enter a Q to exit. Okay, so now we need a system value. So let's go ahead and do a string, and we're going to be a check, and that's going to use our sc.nextLine. We've done scanners in the past, and we know there's a couple things we need to do to get this to work correctly. One is we need to create a scanner object. So let's go ahead and create our scanner object up here, and this can be private. We're working in the same class. We're going to make our scanner, call it SC, so that this works up there. We're going to make a new scanner using the scanner class, and one of the attributes we need to pass in is that we're going to do a system in. When you create that particular object, there's also an import that needs to happen, so don't forget to do our import scanner Java util, which fixes our red underline we had. So this import gets added, which fixes these two lines here. This creates an object called SC, which then we can go down here, and SC has the ability, the scanner object has the ability to do next line. So now we want to check if, let's go ahead and do if check equals, and we're going to talk more about this in a future one, and we want to say Q. So if it equals Q, it's going to come back as a true or false statement. We are going to, if it doesn't come back, or if it does come back as true, we are going to break out of our loop. So we're going to do an endless loop until we break out of the loop. The break is going to leave the loop, the current loop we're in. So it's going to break out of this loop. If we had other loops here, it would only break out of the one we're most current with in that particular case. So you're going to have to trust me that if I don't end a Q here, this line right here is checking to see if I enter a Q, we're going to break out. So we're going to have to call check input. We're going to ask to enter your name. We're going to enter name. If I don't put a Q in there, it's going to be true, always going to be true, which is going to come back up here, and this is going to keep looping. It's not 5 times, it's not 10 times, it's not 1 time. We don't know how many times you're going to enter it. So that's why this would be a perfect time to use an endless loop, because we want to keep going until that Q is entered. So let's go ahead and add something to our start class here. So we need to call that. It's not a static function, so we're going to have to create an object of loop 2. We'll call it check, and we're going to say new loop 2, and we're going to use check object that we created up on line 11. Let Eclipse do the work. We're going to press our dot. We're going to look for the method we just created. There is at the top called check input. And everything's good. No red in that class. No red in that class. So we can go ahead and run it. And it ran the other methods that we had before. I probably should have commented them out. Let's go ahead and put some information here. So I put in Rob, enter my name. Put in Jill, put in my name. Type in J, types in name. So let's go ahead and do lowercase q. Nope, that doesn't work. Let's try capital Q. There you go. So it actually ended at that particular point. We probably would want to print out a message there that says that we've exited the program because it doesn't know what we're actually doing there. But if I run it again, I can go ahead and do Q the very first time, and it's done with already. So as in the previous time, I could put a couple different ones in there. So there are occasions when you're going to want to make an endless loop, and you can use the break functionality to break out of the loop. I also could have had something in here where I change a value that's inside of that. So keep doing what's inside of here until I change it to the appropriate value. Like maybe I keep wanting to do math here, like keep adding 1 to it. So that would be a true statement until it reaches a certain value. But this is the most common one where you just actually put true inside of that particular loop. So that's an endless loop and when you might want to do it. Okay, next time we're going to talk about the for loop. So thank you and hang in there.